Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's going to be reviewing the new Chevy Colorado. This one has the Trail Boss package. Before we get in this video though, as always, if you're going to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. Under the hood, we have a turbocharged 2.7 liter 4-cylinder that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 17 around town and then 21 on the highway, with power outputs being 310 horsepower and then 390 pound-feet of torque. Now, before we go over the front end, I do want to mention, if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. So starting with the hood, definitely a lot happening, but it gives this new Colorado a really cool look. So you guys can see here with the halogen lights, and then we got the Trail Boss logo. And if you're wondering what happened to the Chevy bow tie, I am as well. Anyways, down below you guys can see metallic gray there, and then we do have a pretty big air dam with the Trail Boss package. Putting it all together, I do think that the new Colorado looks really cool, but let me know what you think. Coming around the side here, our tire and wheel setup is 265, 65, 18 in the front and over in the rear. And then you guys can see with the wheels, they're completely blacked out with the Chevy bow tie there in the center. And then pretty decent all-terrain tires. Again, this is supposed to be an off-road package. And speaking of off-road stuff, look how big these fender flares are, and you can see the fenders as well. Got the Colorado badge here, and then you can see everything else blacked out. And then here's your full side view with the new Colorado. For those of you wondering, it's got independent front suspension, a solid rear axle, and leaf springs. Now here's a quick look at our key fob. We have our unlock function or lock function. We got the Chevy bow tie there on the back, so simple. And then lowering the tailgate, it is dampened, which is a nice feature. This of course has the little storage thing that I feel like I have shown probably 10 million times on the channel, so there you go. Anyways, you guys can see we've got protection from the factory and just a really big bed overall for a mid-size pickup truck. It's pretty impressive. There's also a ruler on the back of this, and lifting up the tailgate, super light. You guys can see Chevrolet stamped into the tailgate, and then look at the taillights there. And you guys can see with the bumper steps, and then blacked out there, and then also the receiver hitch. So putting it all together, let me know your thoughts here on this new Colorado when it comes to the overall design. Do you like it, or do you think there's something they should change? Now taking a look at the door panel, you guys can see that it is pretty basic inside, but this is on purpose, so it's easy to clean. And that trend continues onto the seats. As you can see, we've got these cloth seats here in the back. And when it comes to legroom, it's pretty typical for most mid-size pickup trucks. And then you guys can see we've got some cup holder action. We also have some vents here in the back. We also have a manual window. And then headroom back here, it's pretty good. Now with the front door panel, basic just like the rear. We've got all of our window controls. Driver window is automatic. Mirror adjustments, and then you guys can see here with the mirrors themselves. Now with this Colorado, we have over 1,500 pounds of payload capacity, and then we've got 7,700 pounds of towing. And then with the front seats, again, same design as the back. Power adjustments there on the side. Pedal layout down below, and then you guys can see here with the trailer brake controls from the factory. Now here's a quick look at the steering wheel. I like how they have like these like perforations here on the side to make it look fancier than it actually is. I think it's kind of cool. Anyways, got radio controls on the back. You've got voice command controls here on the front, and then you also have cruise control as well. And then a regular stock there, and no light stock because, well, you'll see later. Now we've got this digital gauge cluster, which I think is pretty cool. You can change what it shows and all of that, which, yeah, it's one of the big benefits of a digital. I think this is probably the coolest look though. Now in reverse, we do have a backup camera with trajectory lines that turn with the steering wheel. You can also go to the tow haul mode as well. And then as for the rest of the infotainment system, so first off, you got a shortcut bar, and you guys can see with the lights, it's also in that vehicle tab as well. So if you want to turn the lights on or off, you got to do it through the infotainment system. But good thing this is super responsive. And then you guys can see the climate controls down below, single zone climate with this. Got our auto stop start button, hazard lights, lane departure, and some USB action, and then shifter there for the 8-speed automatic transmission. Also, you guys can see plus and minus, so you can shift the gears yourself. Drive line select, so we have 4-wheel auto, 2-wheel high, 4-wheel high, and then 4-wheel low. And then if you twist it, so it'll actually change the drive mode. So we have an off-road mode, tow haul mode, terrain mode, and then a normal mode. Got some cup holders right here, and then you guys can see center console. It actually has some nice padding on top of it, and then a pretty normal glove box, and then pretty basic with material use, like I said earlier, and then nothing up top really. So here's a window sticker for this Trail Boss. Quite a bit of standard equipment. Base MSRP $37,000. This one has some options added to it. Total MSRP after all options on this one is $41,095. Let's see how it drives. Well, let's talk about visibility before we set off. Here's visibility over the hood, both the mirrors, throughout the rest of the rear, and well, let's set off. Okay, so setting off in the new Colorado. I've been living with this for a week. I do want to mention that I do plan on doing an off-road video tomorrow with the Colorado, so that'll be kind of a more exciting terrain than what we'll be doing right now. But I do want to kind of talk about the new Colorado, you know, my experience living with this for a little bit. So first off, this new turbocharged engine, especially at higher elevation here, it's really strong, and it helps out quite a bit, especially with hills and everything. Mid-sized pickup trucks, you know, historically it's like, you know, they're great until you encounter a hill, and then it's like, oh, this is horrible. But this, I mean, look at this. It's not a race car by any means, but I mean, it gets up and moves at a very solid pace. So I think that is great. The ride quality is really good with the new Colorado. Again, for mid-sized pickup truck, it's very strong. And, you know, overall sound insulation, all that kind of stuff is great. Like, again, this is more baseline package, but it's, again, I wouldn't call it a luxury car, but it's really good. Like, this is a very comfortable pickup truck to drive. So from like a daily driver perspective, it does really well. And the seats, again, they're harder in normal Chevy fashion. I'm not sure why Chevy does harder seats, but they are. But despite that, you know, over long drives and everything, they're not uncomfortable. So I think that is all good and fine. And so, you know, outside of that, my kind of overall thoughts on the new Colorado, here's the deal. I guess it's positive and negative. The positive side is I think it looks great on the outside. And the negative thing on the outside, I hate that little air dam. I understand it's for aerodynamic efficiency, but this is an off-road package. It looks horrible, and it doesn't make sense on an off-road package. It makes sense on a street-oriented Colorado. So there's that thing. Aside from the air dam, though, the rest of the outside I think looks great. And again, for a baseline like this, again, you got to remember this is the baseline, one of the baseline packages on the Colorado. It's a sharp-looking truck. Like I said, engine performs great. But the one downside about this powertrain is it's not very economical. Like, again, you see the fuel economy figures and everything, and it's not the worst ever, but it's just like, meh. I mean, full-size pickup trucks, I feel like, can get as much, as good fuel economy as this. And something I want to mention, that truck makers especially need to understand. Truck consumers do not care about emissions. Like, of course they don't want, you know, all the, I'm not going to dive too deep into it, but they don't care about emissions. What they care about is how much power does a truck have, how much does it tow, and what's the fuel economy. So we all know that Chevy switched to this powertrain because it puts out fewer emissions. Okay, that's fine. But what they should have done is also made sure that it was actually got good fuel economy, because that's what's happening with a lot of these powertrains in modern pickup trucks is the emissions are lower, but the fuel economy is also lower. And so it's like, oh yeah, it technically is better for the environment, but then also you get like, you don't get as good a fuel economy. So yeah, that's my overall hot take is I think it's a great powertrain. I love the new Colorado overall. I just think that especially downsizing to a 4-cylinder, it should have better fuel economy. But also when you put a 4-cylinder in a vehicle that is this big, you know, the chances of it being able to be economical, pretty slim. Let me know your thoughts.